Boom. Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. I'm your host, Eric Anthony. For those of you who are with us watching through YouTube or listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and of course, please visit us at the omniversecomics.guide website where you can find our comic book reading orders. If there's a series that you want to get into and you want to fill in the gaps to know what happens in between, we got you there. My pal Dave makes his reading orders, as I say, second to none. All of our previous podcast episode with creators, collector item specials, and our top tens are all on the website. Check us out, omniversecomics.guide. Now, without further ado, today's guest. Sometimes social media can introduce you to cool people. You see people's work, people's collection. You're like, I'd probably be friends with that dude. He seems like a pretty cool guy. I've been seeing this gentleman's art for years. Whenever I'm at a comic book show or at a wrestling show, I'm know at the right spot when I see this gentleman's art. Today's guest is artist, illustrator. He's also known as Bonnie's dad, and he illustrates everything cool in pop culture. Hail Haney, welcome to the show. Hal Haney. See, I messed it up. I told you I would. Hal Haney. How hard is it to say Hal? Hal Jordan.
You know
Jesus.
what? I don't know how it's people sometimes like if I go through a drive-through line and they say like, "What's a good name for your order?" at the place that takes the order, I say it's Hal HAL, and then I'll drive around to get my food from the other person, and the other person picks up the bag and looks at it and goes, "Is it Hall?" So
Well,
so
you know
don't
what?
worry, it's I get this shit a
Hail
lot.
Haney. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah,
say. When I
right.
see your art, Hail Haney, because that's what we all. Whenever me and my pal are at a wrestling show and we see your stuff, we're like, "Ooh, let's see what they got there this time." I got one of your pieces hanging on my wall, so thank you for coming to the Omniverse. How's it going, Hal?
It's going great, man. I just actually wrapped up a project for Stone Cold Steve Austin just today. So
A project
uh,
for him?
for him, but I'm not going to say anything else about it. It's it's that's up to him to. But yes, I was just got done working for him. Yeah,
Did you get a chance to speak to him?
yeah, of course. Well,
Unbelievable.
oh shit. I
That's
there's a
okay.
story to this. I'm an idiot.
That's okay.
Yo,
Can you
yeah, he
share the
found me.
story?
Yeah, what's of course
Okay.
he's super cool. He actually found me um back in I think 2019. That's when I started getting work from pro wrestlers because Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder at the time, was with WWE, and he saw some of the art that I had done, and he wanted it for himself, and he wanted me to do one of him that was sort of the same thing. It was like the split face deal where it was like I had done like a Hogan where it was like Hulkamania and then Hollywood. Sorry, I cut my finger today too.
That's
That's
all
why I
right.
got this.
That's
I
all
got
good.
this
That's all
band-aid on it.
drawing away,
And then I
man.
did like it was like Macho, like early Macho Man, NWO Macho Man, and then like Crows, like Surfer Sting, Crow Sting. So he saw those and he wanted me to make him up one. So long story short, he kind of blew me up on Instagram, which is why I still have a job like to this day. So thank you, Matt Cardona, always. But from there, it just kind of you know just snowballed, and I ended up working with Sasha Banks and Blue Meanie and Demolition and Bret Hart, and then Stone Cold found me, and he sent me a message on Instagram and asked me for my phone number. He says, like, I can only read his messages in his voice. Like I have to imagine that he's saying it.
Absolutely.
He's like, he was like, "Hey, Hal, what's going on? I got a project for you. I like your phone number, and I'll give you a call in a couple of days." So, of course, I was like, "Holy shit!" Gave him my phone number, and waited around. And he called, and he had me do like a skull for him, for a shirt. That it didn't end up getting used for whatever reason. Like he didn't put it out. He paid me for it and everything like that, and he loved it, but for some reason didn't put the shirt out. But then he actually bought. I don't know if you've. No, it's not here. But I did like a Heart Foundation piece that was like based on sort of the soldiers at Iwo Jima, like raising the flag.
Yeah, I wish I bought that piece. My buddy has it. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah,
I know the piece.
I got print. You can get a print from me, but Stone Cold, I was like auctioning it on Instagram on my in my stories, and Stone Cold bought the original from me, so he
Come
has that.
on.
Yeah, and I thought that was the coolest shit ever, man. Like
That is
he
the
like
coolest shit ever.
yeah. So you know,
I think that's I mean, we'll get into it, but I think that really speaks volumes. For me, I'm starting to, as I get older, I'm starting to take the word of the people who participate in the sport, participate in whatever the art form is, their opinions I take in a little differently now. And guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, for him to take that piece, I think it speaks a lot to what he recognizes as being a touchstone wrestling era for him, especially. And what
yeah. Well, I see your hat. Yeah, like
Hitman.
Brett's his dude. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I got my Louis Spicoli
I
shirt on.
know. I'm like, does he have a Louis Spicoli shirt? Because that's a deep cut. Not too many people might know it.
Yeah,
You gotta.
I designed this one for his sister,
That's great.
so I did uh
That's great.
the the Spicoli driver. It says
Yeah.
Spicoli driver, like the Nike kind of deal. But yeah,
So
his
cool.
sister found me and had me do that for her. And I picked it for today because it was clean, and you can see I'm
I could
shouting
see
out
the
Spicoli.
Spicoli. Yeah, I like it.
You
I
know,
like it. That's very
yeah.
cool. Um, yeah, Bret Hart, you got to work for Bret Hart. I mean, clearly I have a Bret Hart little doll over a figurine, the SummerSlam figures I got over my shoulder. And then you got to work with Stone Cold. As big of a Bret
Here,
Hart, yeah. Yeah, I
there we
saw
go.
that piece too. My buddy bought that
It's
one as well.
signed by Brett and Demolition, if you can read that.
Yeah.
But
One
yeah, so I
that's
have that right up here on my wall next to the where I'm sitting, and
yeah, and that's I love
I'll
that
have to hang it
match.
up later.
I love that match as well.
Oh
Great,
yeah, a
great,
fucking great match.
great match.
Yeah,
But Stone Cold, like as much as I love Bret Hart and I put him at the top of my list, Stone Cold is to me the greatest.
yeah.
Between what he did,
He's my goat, man. Like
yeah, between what he
yeah,
did in WCW, which I hope they put out there a little bit more for people to see because his actual like in-ring work there is really, really good. He got to work with great talent. And then what he
he,
does as
like
a
his
different,
stuff with Steamboat alone
yeah,
was, that's some of his best matches, and he'll probably tell you the same thing. Like his work was like, at the zenith of his athletic ability before his knees went to hell and his neck got broken and all that stuff.
yep.
Like his stuff with Ricky Steamboat was crazy good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you see a little taste of that in the Survivor Series '96 match with Brett. Like the way
Hmm.
he's wrestling there shows a lot more range than what people would remember of Stone Cold, like giving stunners and stomping people. No,
Yeah.
that guy could really wrestle.
Yeah, he could.
He did it all.
He had to go with the brawler thing, just after Owen gave him the shitty pile driver and screwed him
Yeah,
up, but man, but he took that and ran with it, made more money he ever saw in his life,
and that's
made more money than anybody ever,
yeah.
you know.
He struck lightning in a
So
bottle, but he deserved it. And again, who you work with in the ring, right? It's so
yeah,
important. It's a
yeah.
big, yeah. So let's get back to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been creating and selling your work. You kind of got into it a little bit, but where did it begin?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been drawing since could hold a crayon, but I was a stay-at-home dad for a few years, and we were living in like a single wide trailer up in the middle of bumfuck Virginia, and it was a real pretty area. No, it's called Fancy Gap. No, no disrespect to Fancy Gap. It's just there's nothing there but mountains and hills and hillbillies, and there's a Dollar General that takes about 10 minutes to drive to. It's there's really nothing there. So we lived there for a while, and we only had the one income. And so once my daughter got to be preschool age, I had the mornings off from childcare. Like she would go to preschool and get out at 1 or 2 or whatever it was. And then I was like, you know what, I can finally do some stuff to like bring home some grocery money here, because like this it was really hard to do anything at all when you're just taking care of a baby all the time. But like I started messing around with wrestling art, and I did a piece that was like a face off between WCW and WWF, like from the late 80s, early 90s.
Mhm.
And it was like Surfer Sting and WCW's guys on this side, and Hulk Hogan and WWF's guys on this side. And I posted it, and I sold a few prints of it or whatever. I posted it on Twitter, and the late great Big Van Vader, Leon White, who was in on the WCW side, he liked it, and then like sent me a message and told me, like, he retweeted it and sent me a message and told me how cool it was. And I was like, man, like, for that to be the first one I did,
Mm.
like, to, I was
Resonate.
like,
Yeah.
maybe this art thing is going to have some legs. And that's probably back in 2016, 2017, something like
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And so I just kind of kept putting my stuff out there and putting it out there and putting it out there. And then finally I hit on something that, um, you know, Zack Ryder and a bunch of other people liked. And, it just kind of kept snowballing. So like, I got really lucky, and, but just tried to do the most I could with it.
That's a
So,
fantastic story.
so professionally,
Yeah.
and, thank you to Leon White, man, like Big Van Vader. He's one of my all time favorites. But, professionally, I have him and Matt Cardona to thank. But, I've been a professional artist since 2017. So that's 8 years.
That's fantastic. But I mean, I think I've said it many times when I've spoken with creators, illustrators of different varieties. It's you just got to do something you like, see what happens, and put it out there. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times people are a little timid, they don't feel they're good enough. Uh, you never know what's going to happen. And in your case, like you just put out your that first piece, Big Van Vader, like a Hall of Famer, legend of both, the WCW era, probably even bigger in WCW era wrestling, one of the best heels
Oh,
of all
yeah.
time,
100%. Yeah.
right? So that's a huge, especially because he's so quintessential to that piece. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. And now you're talking to Stone Cold, like
It's,
that's
it's, it,
WrestleMania status.
yeah. It's a weird little graduation of luck. And, you know, I don't know what else.
That was going to be
But
one of the questions I asked you. Like, what are some of the cool experience that came from you doing this? And I mean, just to lead off the show, you're talking about dealing with some of the greatest of all time. That's fantastic, man. Good for you.
yeah, I didn't mean to like just start name dropping everybody right
No,
off the
no,
bat. But
that's
like,
great.
but you asked what I was doing, and I literally
Yeah,
I was texting with Steve today. Like,
that's
so.
surreal. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's like every time, it's funny. He's not much of a texter. He actually hates to text.
He seems like it.
Yeah, yeah. He's these old guys. I'm not crazy about texting myself, but like he hates it so much that like you text him something and he'll just call you. He'll just
That's
call
so
you,
cool.
you look down and you say, "Oh shit, it's Steve Austin. I better get ready to talk." But
I mean, I'd be so tempted every time he would say something to me to just respond with what, but it's like,
nah, I can't do it to him, man. I can't do it
were
to
you
him. You
tempted
know
just
what?
a little bit? Just a
Of
little bit?
course, who hasn't thought of that?
I'm at, this is
Like,
Stone Cold. What?
oh my god.
I mean,
Nah, I think I gotta pay him every time I say it.
oh, I would imagine. Even if you just didn't hear what he said, just saying it by accident, you'd be embarrassed because he's like, does he think I'm ribbing him? Oh man, that's great. That's so cool. So when did you fall in love with wrestling? When was that time that wrestling became something that was true to your heart? Because your artwork, I think that's what comes through is that your art shows that you really love this stuff that you're drawing.
1987,
Okay.
the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors when I was 5 years old. That's what brought me in. I was on it. Wrestling was on at 6:05 on TBS on a Saturday, and I happened to be flipping the channels and just saw these guys. I had never really watched pro wrestling before. Like, I was in kindergarten, and I see these big, huge dudes with these shoulder pads and face paint, and they just look fucking awesome. And I was just like, oh my god, I gotta watch this. And then that's what held my attention. You know, it says they got me in, and then you know, Sting and Dusty Rhodes and Flair and all the Horsemen and all that stuff is what kept me around. So like, but the Road Warriors was definitely like, holy shit, like these guys are like walking action figures.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
they're total cartoon characters. So like when you're 5 years old and you see that, like they were the baddest looking motherfuckers I'd ever seen in my life up to that point. I'd only like really been conscious for a couple of years, but that was it. Like Road Warriors, and then I was hooked.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when they came to WWF. I still say WWF, and
I know, I do too. It's the
it's just
who wants to be the entertainment champion? Really, you're the federation champion, is what you
right.
are.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that's people who know. Um,
yeah.
and even the impact they had when because their legend had been made already in NWA and in the Southern wrestling circuits.
Oh yeah,
AWA,
for 8 or 9 years at that
yeah, like
point. Yeah.
they were already legends. And when they came to WWF, it still made an impact. I was gonna ask you, I guess I know the answer now. Road Warriors or Demolition? But I think the answer is clear.
It's 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 the Road Warriors, but it's not by as much as you think because I've actually gotten to know Demolition.
I was gonna
You know,
say, does that
I never got to meet Hawk or Animal, but I've gotten to work with Demolition, and they're like two of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They're super cool. So like looking back, because I didn't grow up with Demolition,
right?
like they were on TV before I ever watched
Yeah,
WWE.
I grew up with the Demolition.
Right. So there
Yeah,
you
they
go.
were my
Like,
Road
but
Warriors.
exactly. But they were kind of gone by the time I was paying attention to WWF. Like I knew about Hulk Hogan and Macho
Hmm.
Man and Mr. Perfect and Jake the Snake Roberts, some of those guys, Big Boss Man. But like, you know, Demolition was kind of phased out before I started really watching WWF, like in the I want to say 93, 94 is probably
Yeah.
when I picked up on WWF and started watching a little bit.
What made you tune into that at that time? Because that's kind of what people call like a low period. That was my sweet spot as well. Post the Hulk, I was a Hulkamaniac like every other kid. I had my doll. Like who wasn't a
Well, I mean,
Hulkamaniac,
now I didn't watch a lot of like Hulk Hogan wrestling, but I saw what was the stupid movie? No Holds Barred.
right?
I saw Suburban Commando. He was a big star. I saw Gremlins too.
Right? Yeah. Now,
Anyway,
for me, like in the 80s, I had an older cousin who was a true wrestling fan. If there was wrestling on TV, he would watch it. So he knew everything about you could know about WCW with the limited amount of TV coverage we had. He would buy Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He didn't buy the WWE magazine or WWF magazine. He brought Pro Wrestling Illustrated or like those other wrestling magazines that covered everything. So that was my exposure to WCW, but it was limited. And it always felt like a little bit of the production level was less than what you got from Vince McMahon, of
oh
course,
yeah, yeah.
because
They
it was
they didn't have that kind of money.
no, they
They just
didn't. Looking
yeah.
back, as a wrestling fan, I appreciate the wrestling a lot more watching those WCW matches because those guys are really doing their thing. Where the other one is still good, but it's spectacle, much more spectacle. But what was it for
Yeah.
you in '93 that made you want to tune in?
Well, to be honest with you, like it was exciting. Uh, like I want to say like what was maybe it was when Raw came out.
Yeah,
It's kind of where I got on because
yeah,
like
that
it
makes
was
sense.
being advertised. You know, I think I would watch early Raw on Monday nights, and then WCW fired back up.
Yeah, with Nitro.
A couple years later, and I jumped back over to Nitro. Then I just kind of flip back and forth, like I think like everybody else.
It was a good time to be a wrestling fan. That was like almost
Yes,
overload because you didn't know what you were gonna miss if you change channels.
yeah.
We
But I loved. I think when I first started watching WWF, I want to say I loved Macho Man Randy Savage. I always did.
Yeah,
Like what little WWF I did watch as a little kid, he was my favorite, like by far. Um, but I think they had him on commentary
yeah,
by the time I was watching,
that's right. Yeah,
and I was kind of disappointed because I always wanted to see him wrestle, and then he went to WCW, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna follow him back to WCW and just tune into that. But 93, 94, I was into to Brett. and Owen, and I liked Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Sean
I
was
hated
good.
Shawn Michaels, but
I
you
hated
know,
him, but you had to. Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
he was trying to make you
Oh,
hate him.
yeah, I loved Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big reason. But then when they came over to WCW again, like I was just like, what the hell am I doing watching WWF? You know?
The synergy though of like competition, I always say makes the products better because it gives the talent options of where you might see them, right?
Yeah,
When the contract is up, if someone shows up by surprise, it makes tuning into both shows worthwhile because they're
yep.
still if they play the same character at least. But yeah, SummerSlam 92 for me. I was always a wrestling fan, but SummerSlam 92 for me at Wembley Stadium, that's why I got the two figures behind me. I was like,
Oh, I see
wow.
him. There you are.
Yeah,
Oh, and you got Thanos right above him.
I
Very
got
good.
Thanos about yeah, right above him.
But comic accurate Thanos.
That's
You know?
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
No, it's no. I love MCU Thanos too. They did an incredible job with
They
him. But
did.
like, but I'm a sucker for the Jim Starlin era
Oh,
of
big time.
Marvel cosmic stuff. You know.
Big time. We got a upcoming episode, I think, in the near future where we're gonna do a Jim Starlin feature. I don't know if we can get him on the show. That'd be great, but we're gonna definitely
Oh my
do it.
God! Please tell me
Oh,
that you can
if I
that
can, I'll let
me
you
and
know.
Jim Starlin are guests on the same podcast. Get out of town.
We did have Jim Shooter on the show,
Oh
which is
wow! Rest
yeah.
in peace, Jim
Yeah,
Shooter.
yeah. That was a really great conversation to have with a guy who's seen so much, right? Talk about comic book information. Um,
Yeah,
but getting back to we were talking about what? Bret Hart. Yes, I always talk
yeah,
about Bret Hart on the show.
yeah. It's
But
okay.
that that era was like Macho Man, I think really planted that seed though. I think to your point, going back and as I get older, I really see how good Randy Savage was
Oh
at
yeah,
like man, what a master at the craft. I know people say, oh, he overplanned it. He didn't like the call think he wanted everything done to a T, but you want to know what? He's got a lot of the best matches of that era where his
yeah.
stories, like he was great. And I think if it wasn't for a champion of his size, they may not have given Brett the opportunity later. I mean,
Right.
Ric Flair was
Yeah,
given the
Flair,
belt, but
Flair and
Flair
Brett are
was
pretty
Flair.
equal, close in size. But
Yeah.
it definitely wouldn't have happened for somebody like Shawn Michaels or going forward like Eddie Guerrero.
No.
Guys like that are 5'8". Well, Shawn Michaels is 6 feet tall, but like Eddie Guerrero's he's not in no under nobody's definition would he be like considered a behemoth. Like he was huge, like in Jack, but
Yeah,
you know,
and to that point, I think in the SummerSlam 92 match, I really got to see like, wow, you could do that kind of stuff and make it almost the suspension of disbelief is really there because these guys are giving each other not just like a punch, but like pinning combinations. And it's like,
right.
oh my goodness, he almost lost it there. Like if you blink, you miss. And I hadn't seen that consistently a wrestler other than Mr. Perfect, but again, him and Brett kind of
I
put that
know.
on display, right?
God, if Mr. Perfect hadn't gotten injured so much, like I feel like Perfect and Brett could have been the marquee for just years. They were so good together. It was crazy how good they were.
A dream match for me would have been and I don't know how they would have pulled it off, but if 1993 Scott Steiner would have gone on a singles run,
With Brett or Perfect or
Brett
either one.
perfect, yeah, either
Yeah.
one. And
Well,
throw
he didn't unlock that crazy, uh
big
Big
pop
Papa
up
Pump
pump, yeah.
side of his personality until 5 years later.
Yeah, but what a talent in the ring he was.
Yeah.
Like things he was doing was unbelievable. I don't know if you must have seen the tag team match with the Hart, Brett and Owen versus the Steiners.
Oh
And
yeah.
he gave Owen like the what is it,
The screwdriver.
the screwdriver. And you're just like, oh my gosh, did he kill the guy?
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
and then later on, Owen gave it to Steve Austin just about, and really almost it was like a tombstone that he sat
Yeah.
out instead of doing the
Yeah.
knees.
Ugh, I hate
Whew.
watching that. I can't watch that.
I know.
I've
I'm sure.
seen it.
I'm sure Steve hates it too.
I know, right? Do you have a piece that's a bestseller? Ones that, every show they just seem to, that's the one that everybody loves?
I don't know. It's like I'm always coming out with new stuff. Um, and I got a lot of repeat, customers, like people that are like, "Oh man, he's got a new comic book looking cover with wrestlers on it. Like I got to get that." Like the Hell in the Cell one does really good, really well, I should say.
Yeah.
Pardon my southern
No, no,
grammar.
please give us the Southern
Uh,
grammar and hospitality.
my ignorant, shitty grammar. Yeah, but that one, the Rockers barbershop one I did a while back, where he's throwing Janetti through the window. And no, he didn't kick him through the window, by the way, if anybody wants to argue about it. He
That's right.
threw him through the window. He kicked him and he fell down, and then he picked him back up, chucked him through the window.
That's right.
Anyway, so that, and I did a giant size X-Men #1 homage that was the black and white NWO as the old X-Men, and then the Wolf Pack as the new X-Men.
I like
So
that
those
one.
stuff like that does really well,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the rogues galleries, like things like that. If people can get close enough to actually see the details, then they
Yeah.
sit there and they look at them and they go, "Oh my god, I gotta have that." But it's drawing them in for like in a convention or whatever. Like you got people walking all over the place, so you have to like put the big stuff like that they can see easily, so that they'll actually come over and then they can see the little detailed things.
Yeah, no, it's
You
true.
know.
Your stuff is even the big pieces like that Hard Foundation one that you showed, like the detail of what was happening in the match. Like if you know the story of
Yeah.
that photo, like if you watched it, you'll know everything where you are in that storyline. It's a really cool piece. I love it. The detail is all there. Comic books and the art that you make clearly have there's an influence because you do those, like you said, the homage, like the X-Men with the Wolf Pack and the NWO. When did your love do you, tell me about your love for comic books? Like how deep does it go? When
That
does
that was early. My dad actually collected comic books, and then um, it's one of those sad, tragic stories where he had all these. He grew up in the '60s
no, don't
and
say
early
it.
'70s, and his mom threw them all out because she thought they were
No.
worthless junk.
Ah,
So he had one any comic book anything left, and it was the Marvel Treasury Edition Spider-Man. It was like the big size from I want to say 1974,
okay.
73, something like that. But it's just got Spider-Man in that awesome John Romita pose. He gave me that, and that's the first comic book I ever had. I got hooked on Spider-Man first. I think that's a good gateway.
I think so too.
Uh, I didn't really collect a lot of Batman or Superman comics. Pardon me, but Spider-Man got me into the greater Marvel universe. So I
Yeah.
started collecting some X-Men and some Avengers and Fantastic Four and stuff like that. And then so my thing was usually Marvel.
What
You
was
know.
the I guess like the introduction clearly of being introduced to Spider-Man got you down the Spider-Man rabbit hole, but was there anything else between Marvel DC that you preferred? Because people always bring the debate up between, oh, these characters are better than these ones, and I'm indifferent because I think both universes have their charm. But what was it for
Oh
you
yeah.
as a like a young kid that made you lean more Marvel?
Well, I think it's that I considered DC comics were more for little kids. Like they were, like that as a kid when you're like 8, 9, 10 years old. Maybe you think like a Superman comic isn't is too maybe it's too cheesy for you. And you can
Right,
go read
right,
an X-Men comic and it feels more like you're reading something maybe you shouldn't be reading yet,
right,
or
right.
or
Got you.
something that's a little bit more raw, or a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
got you. There's an edge to it, a little more edgy. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, apart from like Batman,
Mm-hmm.
like the main DC characters really didn't have a whole lot of edge when I was a little kid.
Sure.
Batman did, but then like, Superman and Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, all that stuff. I liked all those characters, but it wasn't like what drew me and kept me there. You know.
Yeah. No, I get it. And on the opposite end of it, I was a DC kid because my first introduction to superheroes were Superman and Batman toys.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So and then there was the movies that you could see like a live action version of this
yeah.
thing.
And see, that's just it. Is like I loved the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I had
Yeah.
all four of them.
Yeah.
I loved the Michael Keaton Batman movies. I loved the Adam West Burt Ward 66 Batman
Me
movie.
too.
I had that on video, and me and my little brother had Batman and Robin pajamas
Yeah.
that like they were like, it wasn't a onesie, it was like a, you could put on basically the Batman costume, and we would like safety pin towels around our necks and go outside and slide down this fence pole that we had that wasn't connected to a fence, and we would like act like we were going into the Bat Cave and stuff. It was,
So yeah, they're so much fun, those characters. And like
yeah,
I was the right age for the superpower toys. I don't know if you remember when you squeeze the legs and the arms would, you would have, they were the probably same age
right.
for you, right? So
Yeah,
that
I didn't get to collect a lot of toys. The first like toys I actually collected was like the Power of the Force Star Wars stuff, because all my toys ended up like just breaking, like because I would play with them so hard they just fucking break.
did you have any of the wrestler figure, the rubber ones from, was it Jansen? I forgot the L no
uh
LJ something LJ.
LJN.
Yeah, that one.
No, I never had any of those. I never had any like wrestling toys. I didn't have. We had four kids and not a lot of money, so I didn't really have a whole lot of like
You
really
played
awesome
outside.
toys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you played
I didn't
outside the way
get
you're supposed to.
like, yeah, we didn't get our NES until 1990. When like, so everybody else is already, had to go to the neighbor's house to play Mario or Duck Hunt or
That's okay.
Zelda or Mega Man or whatever. So yeah, I was raised by a nurse and a musician, so there wasn't a shitload of money to go around.
And
you
four
know,
kids. Yeah, but you know
four
what?
kids, hand me down clothes, hand me down toys, that kind of stuff.
But the appreciation is still there, like clearly.
Oh yeah,
Like it comes through in the work, right? The
yeah.
things that resonated with you at the time. So, did you have at what point did you ever start collecting where you were like a regular reader, you had like a book that was your go-to or a creator that was just like, I love this guy's stuff.
My first real notice of a creator was Jim Lee when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, something like that.
Right.
Like I fell in love with his art style with the X-Men books I was buying at the time. And back then, $5 you could get five comics.
Yeah.
Like if they, as long as they weren't like selling for cover price or whatever, you could go to the comic store and get the dollar
Dollar
readers
bin.
and just, yeah, man. Or the shit. Sometimes you could, back in the day, there were 25-cent bins
Yeah.
where you could just like get four comics for a fucking dollar and read.
And they
But
took
I
time to
wasn't
read them
into
too.
collecting. What's that now?
They took time to read because it wasn't like
Yeah.
they weren't like a 3 minute, 5 minute issue. It was like you got your money's worth back then in those 80s comics, 90s comics.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we used to go to Dragon Con, which is the big convention down in Atlanta, starting in the early '90s. And like seriously, if you went there, you could clean up for $20. Like you could get just
The
a
good old
huge stack
days.
of shit.
Yeah.
To
When
fuck, like you
cons were
just be like,
cons,
hey, how much can I get for $20? And you just end up with like a stack of fucking comics and go home
right?
and.
It's the
And like
best.
I wasn't into collecting them to keep them pristine and all this shit. I just wanted to read them and look
Yeah.
at the art. I was obsessed with like holding it in my hand and reading.
Yeah. That's why I prefer the hardcovers, the omnis like you see behind me. I like to read them. I got to a point
Yeah.
where it's fun to go weekly and to be up to date with what's coming out, but then everything becomes precious after that. It's like put it in your little sleeve and I put you in a
Yeah, I know.
box
I know.
and you go away. And if I ever want to look at you again, it becomes a big to do. It's like
Yeah.
I want to read the story. Yeah, I feel you
Yeah,
100%.
I don't have any of my comics in slabs. Like I can't
No.
do it because that means I'll never get to read it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So
I've never done that before. It's I don't know. It's just seems
it's hey, it's
artificial.
it's for some people. It's just not for me.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm in the same boat as you. I have
Yeah.
some pretty good old issues that I found for a good deal, and I guess I should slab them, but I'm like I kind of want to open the page and smell the paper and the ink of that time. Like it's part of the charm. I don't know. I'm a nerd
Like
like that.
the one that I can think of that I have two copies of first appearance of Gambit. It was
Okay.
Uncanny, I think 266.
Okay.
I have two copies of that. One is to keep nice, and one is because I bought it when it came out and I read it, and I always kept it. I found another one that was in better condition years later, and I'm keeping that one nice.
Right. And it
But
means something to you. That's the other
yeah,
thing. That's important. Like you gotta,
yeah,
it's good when the comic has some sort of meaning in the experience you had reading it at one point. Like I want to keep that as a
yep,
keepsafe instead of just it's valuable, don't touch it. I don't like
right.
it, but it's worth something. I feel you. Did you do you still keep up to date with comics or read comics still today or
You know what? Honestly, in the last 10 years, like, just because I've been a dad and really haven't really had a lot of opportunities to go get new stuff or keep up with new stuff. I really haven't been keeping up with it as much as I have. I know what it was. The last thing that I bought that was new was the new Secret Wars.
oh wow, from
Like I had a
2015.
couple issues of that, yeah, from
Okay.
2015.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm in the same. I'm on a comic book podcast, but we do a lot more of like recommended reads in the library. Not here's the newest stuff. Here's what you should be reading. I don't really keep up too much with up to date things because I run out of space, and we're in a sweet spot of collecting where they're reprinting so many things that
Mhm.
I didn't have access to. So that's kind of where I'm at. I read all across Image to DC to wherever. And I like getting the collection so I can read old Mark Waid Flash or, old
Yeah.
X-Men from the 80s or whatever the case may be. So,
I went out and bought. I think I did this in like 2012 or something when my wife was pregnant, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'll never be able to buy comics again. I better buy some."
ah,
Uh, I went out and I found like a collection of the entire um, Avengers run with Kurt Busiek and George Perez, and I bought all that. Like that whole '98
yeah,
event, Heroes Return.
yeah,
Yeah, I bought all that. It's so good. It's still so good to this
I got
day.
it right there, buddy. Keeps a
There you
special
go.
place on my
Yeah,
shelf. Love it, love it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's this
Shout
like,
out to Silverclaw. To
but
shout out to 3D Man.
there's just something
Yeah,
about that era where Kurt Busiek and George Perez meld like future comic book storytelling and classic comic book storytelling at like
yeah,
a nexus point where it's like this
yeah.
is the sweet spot of Avengers.
Yep,
It'll never be like this again. And not for a bad thing, because Brian Michael Bendis stuff was fun, but that
yeah,
moment was like a perfect collaboration of classic Avengers. It's
yeah.
great, great stories. And Avengers Forever during that time. So
Oh my God, yeah. I got the compendium or whatever you want to call it of that.
yeah, no, it's a
I
great
have a.
story.
I'm allowed one shelf out in the main area of the house.
Okay.
It's all mine. It's like all my like essential Marvel stuff and my Infinity Gauntlet and my Guardians of the Galaxy run and like the Avengers Forever and all that kind of stuff. So I got like the two big Alex Ross books, Marvelocity and what's the DC one? Oh, it's gonna kill me. That's
I
okay.
can
That's all right.
see I
But
can see
anyway,
the
so
cover. I can see the cover.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Obviously, Alex Ross's stuff is just untouchable to me. But yeah,
Good picks. So
so
you
yeah, so I have lots of volumes like you've got behind you, but I only have one living room shelf, and it's just absolutely packed with my stuff.
you,
You
you
know.
said you mentioned a couple of cosmic stories. Big cosmic fan here. I love like Jim
Yep.
Starlin, Thanos, the
Yep.
Captain Marvel stuff from back in the 70s.
Yep.
Um, what appeals to you about that stuff?
There are no constraints like at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because it's outer space and it's you make up your own rules. Like. I like that. And the other thing is I really just like the image of Silver Surfer or somebody just flying through the stars. Like that I've always liked that. You
yeah.
know.
No, there is something about it that just it's kind of like wrestling, the suspension of disbelief where you suddenly find yourself somewhere. It's like, how did I find myself this deep into the story? You kind of get
Yeah.
lost in it, right? And a good wrestling match is like that.
That's true.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the commonality is between pro wrestling and comic books? Do you think there is one? I feel like there is. There's a sensibility there,
I
but
think it's like it's hero worship, it's power fantasy, it's it's some kind of something that appeals to it appeals to people. Like, people will look at Hulk Hogan and be like, I wish I could, body slam Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. I wish, like, look at the Ultimate Warrior. He's basically like a superhero anyway,
Yeah. He made himself a comic book.
Right. So, but like, it draws us in as kids, I think, because like we're going, wow, I wish I could kick somebody's ass like this guy can, you know, or like, the comic book characters. I wish I had powers and I could do this and, catch bad guys or, beat up the douchebag kid that stole my sister's lunch money, whatever the hell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
feel
So
you.
I think that's what it is. It's like, it's power fantasy, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair assessment. I mean, the magic trick as a youngster when you're watching wrestling is pulled over your eyes a lot better. But when
Hmm.
I watch it now, I can see the storytelling sort of unfold, and
Yeah.
it's the same sort of morality tale that you might find in a comic book where the fight scene, the more it makes sense where what happens in the fight scene plays into something later, that's where like the comic book paneling is done right, or even in a match. Like you can't have something at the wrong time unless it's a
Yeah.
complete accident. In order for
Morality tale's that's a good descriptor for that.
Yeah, because you got
Absolutely.
your heel and your baby face, and every now and then an anti-hero is the one everybody loves the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's always going to be that appeal to violent storytelling.
Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the Punisher of wrestling.
You're right. That's a really good way to put it. It's who's better? Yeah, the skull, the flaming skull. Doesn't matter who's in charge. If justice needs to be served, I'm the sheriff, right?
There you go.
Yeah. So being from the South, and having watched good old fashioned wrestling,
Oh, wrestling. Yeah.
did you have a favorite era of that particular type of wrestling? Because for people who are listening are like, what the heck are you talking about, Eric? There was a distinct, like there always is with the North and South, right? There's always like our version's better than the Northern version. But the Northern version was WWF, run by Vince McMahon, which was very
Yeah.
much more of a highly produced product, whereas
Yeah.
the stuff from the Southern wrestling territories were much more to the true standard of what people felt the craft was supposed to be. Smaller
Yeah.
venues, but
It's I think
passionate fans.
the I think the NWA stuff sort of it kind of kept the tradition.
Yeah,
It kind of kept kayfabe going a little bit longer than
yeah,
Vince wanted to.
yeah.
I mean, like, he didn't just come right out and say everything's fake, but he did. He didn't really. I don't know. Like, NWA presented it more like a sport for a lot longer
I appreciate
than
that. As silly as it sounds.
than WWF did. Like, WWF didn't really present it as a sport as past the mid '80s or whatever. Like, once like the guys like the Iron Sheik, were and Sergeant Slaughter and Bob Backlund were sort of behind, and it was the Hogan era. The Hogan era was very much focused on spectacle, but while that was going on, you had stuff like in WCW, like you know Flair Steamboat '89, which is an impossibly good match for a guy that's over 40, or he's turning 40 that year or whatever.
Incredible.
So like you have like just going into the early '90s, the Hogan era is still going, running strong. They got the Ultimate Warrior and they got the Macho Man and they got all this stuff. And in WCW, like there's still, apart from this, is it's sort of hypocritical of me to even say this, because they did do the fucking RoboCop deal with Sting,
Yeah.
because that's what they were going, okay, this, we're gonna try to do something like WWF, and it fucking backfired. But anyway, so yeah, but the wrestling, stayed realer in
Yeah.
the NWA and WCW for a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
And if people say how realer, one of the things I learned as I read into more and more about wrestling for the listener, if a person, let's say, got beat up in the ring and they cut his face, they take him backstage after and sandpaper his face so he had a proper bruise when he left the arena. Like they did what they had to do to give that guy a black eye so that the audience would see him maybe at a IHOP or a Denny's and be like, "Oh, he really did get beat up. It
Yeah.
was that's not makeup." So they were dedicated really to I guess the sanctity of what this business was of keeping the show as a show for the people, but also the suspension of disbelief has to exist for it to work. And it's
Well,
an art form.
the suspension of disbelief thing, like I think about what Al Snow called it one time. Like he on this video I watched, he was instructing, I think, like a wrestling school,
Hmm.
and they were in the ring and they were talking about sort of the philosophy of everything. And he's real like curt and like opinionated and everything like that when it comes to wrestling. He's obviously an affable guy, but like when he's teaching wrestling, he's real serious. And he like kind of looked at the class and he was like, "Can anybody tell me what the definition of kayfabe is? Like, what is kayfabe?" And a couple people tried to answer it, and they're just trainees, like so they don't really understand sort of what it is. And he just broke it down like this. He said, "Kayfabe is respect for the audience. What that is like you're trying your best not to insult their intelligence by making everything look shitty and fake.
Yeah.
It's respect for the audience. They paid to see a fight. They paid to be able to suspend disbelief. Now it's your job to do your best, basically, to keep that disbelief suspended. You
Yeah.
know?
And that's a perfect way to put it. It's like,
Yeah.
you go to watch a stage show. Some people will go watch Hamilton or whatever, the Phantom of the Opera. You don't want to go there and suddenly the Phantom say, "What's my line?"
Yeah.
Or,
Exactly. It's exactly like that.
right?
That's a
And
great
we know
analogy.
that that guy's not the Phantom of the Opera, but while he's playing the part and singing that role, you're like, holy, like this guy is full on doing what he's got to do.
Yeah,
And
you pay to like get into it. You want to get into it. You want to feel
yeah,
something.
and when
You want to feel emotions.
and every now
You
and then
know?
when a guy gets a proper boot, you go, ooh, like was he supposed to
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. When something looks good,
Yeah,
or it's like maybe it's a little stiff, or somebody, like takes a real bad bump or whatever, you just go, "Eh."
you feel for the guy because you also know
Yeah,
he's performing for you. It's like, well, I don't want you to really, really be hurt, but man,
right.
you did that
Yeah,
for the
but it looked
audience.
good.
It looked
Looked
good.
pretty good.
That must hurt.
Yeah, but
Um,
I hate like when somebody's on top of somebody else and they're supposed to be they mount and punch, and they just do this shit where they kind of like go right by the ear and they don't even
yeah.
like try to make it look good. It's like, oh, come on, like at least touch him.
Yeah, I agree. And that
Yeah,
goes to when people be like, "How could you like this?" Because when someone's really good at it and they make
yeah,
you buy into it,
yeah.
that's why. And when someone
That's
ruins
that's
it,
see, that's why you got that Hitman hat on, man. Because
yeah,
that dude right there made every punch look like it was supposed to look like it looked like it hurt, but he didn't really hurt anybody,
yeah,
but he made everything look like it hurt. That's the whole deal. So I appreciate the art form.
yeah,
But
me too.
like you were saying with the what's my line at the Phantom of the Opera, like how many times you've been watching a movie and like the movie's good, but then something happens and it kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
Right.
Like there's like a moment that's like, that's not what would have happened.
Yeah, that's
It
cheesy.
kind of it takes a minute to get back into it. Like, they lost me.
Yeah. When you
Like
see us,
there was a moment in The Walking Dead
okay,
where did you ever watch that?
I did not. I was one of the
Oh,
few
okay.
people who did it. Go ahead. Don't
Well,
mind me.
I was all in on The Walking Dead until this moment happened. Norman Reedus's character Daryl and Carol, I can't remember the actress's name, but they're in this van and they're on a bridge and they're like surrounded by zombies. And he's debating, like feels like he's getting he needs to go over the edge so that they can survive these zombies that are after him because there's nowhere to go. So he just drives off the edge of this bridge, and then the van does like a full, like it looks like it kind of comes off like this, like head first, and then the next shot is it's landing on its wheels,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Why
what?
did you
How
show
the
all of
hell?
that? Yeah, you didn't need to show all
Yeah,
that for me to
like
believe what
what
would
the
happen.
hell? How did it land on his fucking wheels? Like this is bullshit. So, anyways, so me and my wife were just like, "Fuck this show."
And
So I
yeah,
was done with it right there.
that'll do it, man. That could do it to you.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I feel you. I want to ask you the fun questions now.
All right.
Who are your top five wrestlers? Your favorite, not who are the greatest, but your personal favorites.
My personal favorites, Macho Man, Brett, Stone Cold are all in there.
I like your list so far.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
list.
Macho Man, Brett, Stone Cold. I'm gonna say Kurt Angle, just one of my all-time favorites to watch in the ring, and um, Arn Anderson. I'm gonna give you an Arn Anderson.
I like that. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure who your fifth was gonna be, and depending on who it was, we were gonna have a stepbrother moment. I'm like, are we best friends? Because all your four was like, yeah, yeah. I really rank Macho Man quite a bit, especially for the '80s. Sometimes he's one of those guys where it's like he doesn't get enough shine as he should. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, he deserves a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Arn's that way too. Like Arn,
yeah. Tag
Arn,
teams, singles, yeah.
yeah, he's just he was freaking incredible. But like he's one of those guys. He's never gonna get the credit that he deserves either. But he could talk.
hmm
He made everything look great,
He
and
gave the Four
you know
Horsemen the name. I mean, that
that's
was
right.
his promo. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
Where do you
yeah,
where do you put someone like Sean in
I
the
mean he'd be just outside of that. I think he'd be still be in the top 10 of
yeah.
mine.
I
You
was
know,
never a fan of his, but his matches are phenomenal.
yeah, you can't. He's undeniable. You cannot.
Undeniable.
Yeah. I'd have to put Steamboat in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Flair, young Flair. There was nobody better. You know, but he overstayed his welcome. You
Yeah,
know,
that
he was
happens.
around 30 years after he should have been done. Really, I mean, if you like, he just did his retirement match. What was it this year? Last year, he was like 76.
The last Nitro should have been it
Yeah, I mean, even
against
before that.
Sting. Yeah, even before, but if I mean WCW is
Yeah.
gonna go out with one last match, him and Sting, I get it. That's cool. That should have been it. But
But what really should have been it if he was coming back to WWF, it really should have been the Shawn match, and then he never should have wrestled again
yeah,
after that.
oh,
You
100%. It
know?
takes away from
Yeah,
the gravitas of that match.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
it was in his mid 50s by that point. When was that match? Like 06, something like that.
Yeah,
He would have been 57, something like that. And he just kind of he left. He took the kick. They did the retirement. That was a perfect way to go out.
perfect way. Yeah.
And then he just kind of kept coming back and kept coming back, and it's like, fuck, just learn. Like you just oh well.
So you don't think John Cena is the greatest of all time? Is basically what you're
I,
saying.
I do not. He's John Cena's good. He's good at what he does.
He is good.
He's not my cup of tea. You know.
Yeah, I had a lapse. I'm back into watching wrestling now, especially the last couple of years. My buddy Paulie got me into it. Um, and I've been watching now with the Netflix. The availability just seems so much easier to keep
Yeah.
up with it. But the and the creative direction, it seems like there's a lot of if one thing doesn't go right, they have a lot of people they can fill into a spot to keep the pace of everything going. But are you watching it at all, the new stuff?
Um. WWE? No, I'm not.
No?
I mean, I keep up with it because like I follow so much wrestling stuff on social media that like
Right.
I almost get more than I need anyway.
Right.
You know. So I definitely know what's going on, but like as far as sitting and watching a 3 hour Monday Night Raw, no, I haven't done that in years.
Are you AEW fan?
I would be more of an AEW fan
Makes sense.
than WWE. AEW is sort of what reignited my interest in wrestling
Mine too.
since because I cut out of like doing my fun stuff. I kind of let my dad brain take over and do the dad thing for years and years. And then, when like I just kind of fell out of the whole wrestling deal.
Yeah, me too.
And then, when AEW was coming up, I was like, hey, this actually looks like something that might, you know, because I was I was a WCW fan, and I was so fucking pissed when Vince bought it. I was so fucking mad. I was like, man, how the fuck could Turner sell this? Like, fuck you guys. You know, you're like you're gonna kill it. So, and then of course Vince took every opportunity to just shit on it after he bought it. Like he made WCW just look like a total fucking
I,
like
I,
they had no prestige, no history. Like fuck you, you
yeah,
know. And
that's
then
the
like
unfortunate
every
part.
chance he could get to job a WCW guy out, he'd fucking do it every time because his fucking ego's so big. So you know, I there's a whole generation of people that grew up during the fucking monopoly era
Hmm.
where there was no WCW, no ECW because WWE
Absolved
owned all of
everything.
it,
Yeah,
and like TNA was the only fucking
option.
option that was anywhere on cable, you know. So it's like, you know, that's why people who like that's why those people went and started watching Ring of Honor and New Japan and like all that kind of stuff, and that's why they went with AEW.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
because that's what AEW is essentially, is like the counterculture, uh, you know, to the super popular WWE shit. Like if WWE's not your thing, you know, you got to have something. You know, I
yeah.
think if you're a fan,
I agree. The Monopoly era for me as well. That's a great way to put it. And for some people, that's all they ever seen was that
that's all
time.
they've ever, because it's
And
been
they're like,
25 years.
you didn't like the ruthless aggression era. I'm like, I got to see the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah,
If you didn't live through that, you don't understand how good it was
there
and how much
there was
wrestling.
some great wrestling during the ruthless aggression era.
Sure, sure.
Like the SmackDown 6 or whatever they called them, the SmackDown 7. Like that's that era of SmackDown is, you know, just crazy good wrestling. You know, when they had, you know, Benoit and Guerrero and Jericho
Oh,
and
100%. Yeah,
Edge and
yeah, yeah.
Christian and all that stuff. Like they were doing great stuff in the ring. But then like, you know, I was less and less interested because they had no reason to compete and be great.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, you
When
know,
Jericho
nobody
showed up
was.
on Monday Night Raw, it was like,
Yeah, yeah, that was nuts. That was crazy. Like I flipped over and saw that, and I was like, "How did you let this fucking guy go?" But you know,
right? All
so
of it. Yeah.
yeah. And then like what really sort of, you know, kind of took me out of wrestling, you know, really was the Benoit thing that happened.
That
Like
was a
when
heartbreaker,
he
man.
when he fucking killed his family, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna. I want to not. This hurts too much. I don't want to watch this anymore right now.
That's a tough,
So
yeah.
I would still tune in for like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania or whatever,
Hmm.
and sort of like the Raw after WrestleMania, like the
Yeah,
important
yeah.
shit. But I really didn't care
Christmas and
anymore.
Easter. It became like
Yeah,
Christmas and Easter.
exactly.
I feel you. Yeah. I had a very similar experience. And I was a big Benoit fan.
Yeah, me too.
Like him and Angle matches are, I mean, you're not going to see better than that. It's just
Yeah,
some of the
no,
best stuff.
he was in the ring. He was fucking phenomenal. You know, I was actually about I was less than 5 miles from his house working when he did that. I was on a job. I used to do construction work and like odds and ends kind of stuff. I was on a job putting flooring in Fayetteville, pretty close to his house while all that was going on. And then,
Terrible.
you know, get to work, you know, Monday, and you know the news is coming out that he's dead, and it's like, what are you talking about? He's dead. This whatever it was, June, and you know, then they say it's in Fayetteville, and then like everybody in town where we went to eat lunch, and everybody in town's talking about, you know, oh, he lives right over here, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. So
So
you know,
tragic. So yeah, that's the dark side of the ring. A lot of scary, tragic stories that go along with, especially in the olden days, the people who did it for the love of the game and beat their bodies to a pulp. Some of that stuff was just inhumane what they went through, in all fairness,
yeah,
right? And it
sure,
it
yeah,
it,
yeah,
re-
yeah.
it reflected in what happened in their private lives. But let's try to end it on a happy note. What's your favorite heavyweight championship title change? Do you got one that like sticks out to you, or it's like, man, I remember that one. That was cool.
My favorite heavyweight championship title change.
Hmm. You didn't have to
Uh,
watch it live. It's okay if you didn't watch it live. Just one that meant something
you
to
know
you.
what? Because it was so huge
Hmm.
and because I was actually in the building for it, I'll
Yes,
say Goldberg over Hogan.
you were there.
I was there in the Georgia Dome. So like the crowd was insane that night. It was insane. I've never been in a wrestling show that was that packed. It was like 40,000 people in this dome.
So that pop wasn't coming through the speakers. That crowd was chanting
That
Goldberg.
crowd that crowd was hot as fuck for Goldberg.
Yeah.
Now, the I was also in the building when they came the next time WCW came back to the Georgia Dome, which was January 4th, 1999, and that was the finger poke of doom with Kevin Nash and Hogan, and so they killed the town after that because when they came back the next summer, in summer of '99, Macho Man and Nash were on top, and there were about half as many people in the building. So the finger poke of doom like kind of killed WCW off in their hometown.
And I remember as a kid, I was a big Wolfpack fan.
Hmm.
So when they amalgamated, I was like, yes, they're all one again. Like I'm
Yeah.
happy that it's just a united team. And then they just butchered it. And then they came
Oh my God. Yeah.
not long
Terrible.
after that, they did their first Nitro in Toronto, where I got to go see it because Brett was coming and I got to see the
That
Wolfpack.
that's the one in Toronto's the one where he had the armor on his
Yeah, the
right. He
armor.
had the steel
Yeah,
plate and
yeah.
he Goldberg speared him. Oh my
That's
God.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see that live, which was crazy. I got floor tickets. I don't know how that happened, but it was awesome. But that's where Toronto has a thing with turning Hogan back to a babyface because they did it that night. He came out as an NWO, like leader of the NWO, and the crowd just wouldn't stop cheering him. And
Well, I mean,
he
it's just Toronto's a WWF town, man. That's one of their like big towns that they would run.
they love
And
wrestling here. Like we
yeah,
love wrestling here. Even AEW, whatever comes to town, there's always people who are gonna come to watch TNA. I just went to a TNA show a couple months ago. We love wrestling here, but you're right, it is a WWE town. But
yeah.
man, that night, I'm like, he's supposed to be a heel, and they were just cheering him to pose. And then the next
Well, I
couple
mean,
weeks on Nitro, he went back to the red and yellow.
yeah, and that was later on that summer. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but the only they came to see Brett.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh
they
yeah.
came to see Brett. Maybe they came to see Hogan a little bit, but that crowd was there for Brett. That's the because that was I watched that one live, and that was definitely the biggest reaction of anything that happened that night for
Oh, they
sure.
they yeah. I mean, he's
He recited the freaking national anthem, like spoken word, obviously, but
yeah. I mean, Bret Hart in Canada, he's our national
yeah,
treasure, right? I mean, he's a wrestling treasure, but here, woof, don't talk
yeah,
about the Montreal screw job. I get hot.
yeah.
Um, so how where can people, if they want to look up your work, where can they find it? Where can they purchase it? How do we get our pieces, some of your pieces on our walls?
Well, there's halhaneyart.com. And I am on Instagram at Hal Haney Art, and on Twitter, I don't call it X, at Hal Haney Art.
Like
Uh,
WWF.
right, yeah, it's still WWF to me. Uh, and the links for my Etsy shop and all that stuff are there on my Instagram if you want to take a look at things. Wrestling, comics, video games, cartoons, all kinds of stuff. Pretty much um, every possible thing I ever dorked out for is stuff that I like to draw. You know.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the Omniverse. I hope you come back. We could get into some more wrestling talk. Maybe we could focus in on like a pay-per-view and just talk about some of the shit that happened. And
Hell yeah,
right? We
yeah.
could we could
I'd
get
love to
deep.
do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Uh, very, very happy to have you on. Thank you everybody for joining us. Be sure to check out Hal Haney's art, like you mentioned, and omniversecomics.guide. Check out the website. Stay tuned for more episodes, creator interviews, top tens. Hal, thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you.